A very good evening, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, Patricia and David, ZMH286, and we've had another dry day. In fact, quite an excellent day, really. A perfect day for the crew of Mintaka to enter the bay, which they have done a few minutes ago. Down here, we have 18 degrees outside, which at this time of night is pretty cool. 6 knots of northeast and 1024.6. It's quite cloudy. 90% cloud cover. Up there, Mintaka are absolutely rocketing down the bay. The AIS reckon they're going about 9 knots. They've passed 9 pin. They're in the bay. They've had 20 knots of northeast to really make sure they get in by 7 o'clock, and they most certainly will. Currently at 35 degrees 12 and 174.07. So right in the bay. Well done, you guys. You probably can't hear me, given the short distance we are apart. Brief news before I hand the microphone over. America's Cup again today. Excellent sailing strategy, etc. from Team New Zealand. They are now 6-2 up and on match point for racing tomorrow morning our time. So that sounds good if everything holds together, but you just never know with that particular event and those particular boats. All right, lots to talk about because a lot of you are panting at the bit to make passage. Here's David.
Yeah, it sounds that way, that's for sure. Okay, let's take a look at the synoptic picture for our area of the Southwest Pacific. Now, the most notable feature is our tropical depression centered at 21 degrees south and 176 degrees east. Now, the central pressure is estimated to be 998 millibar. Now, the latitude and longitude that I just gave you is my personal estimation from satellite imagery that's about 2 hours old. In other words, not from the models. Now, models, though, do show winds at the western quarter to be gale force, the southern quarter also gale force, the eastern quarter a little bit less, about 15 to 20 knots, in fact a lot less, and the northern quarter about 30 knots, 30. Now I picked a spot. Winds at 20 south and 178 east are gusting 30 knots, and the seas at that point are approximately 3 meters. Now the seas also at that spot are, well, basically we'll look at the west, the south, and the eastern quarter. Be easier to do that. They're 5 meters. Seas are 5 meters at that point. And the northern quarter is 3.5 meters. 3.5 meters. Now, Fiji Met calls for northwest to west winds 20 to 30 knots for southern Viti Levu, the Kandavu Passage, southern Koro Sea, and the southern Lao. They expect rough to very rough seas, moderate southerly swell, and poor visibility in areas of heavy rain. Further outlook, that would be for Sunday, tomorrow, northwest to west winds 15 to 20, moderate to rough seas, and moderate to southerly swells. Now, for those yachts in Tonga, and there are quite a few, Tonga Met has issued gale warnings for Vava'u, the Hapais, Tonga Tapu, and notably both Minerva Islands, gale force winds. So the winds are forecast as follows. Vava'u, northeast 20 to 30 with thunderstorms. The Hapais, northeast 25 to 40. That's 40, northeast 25 to 40 knots, and thunderstorms. Tonga Tapu and the Minervas, northeast 25 to 40 knots as well. and thunderstorms. So please take note of the thunderstorms. The downflow winds could momentarily reach up to 60 knots from these big thunderstorms, 60 knots or more, actually, with extreme wind shifts. Your radar would be a valuable tool for you, and don't forget that waterspouts are not uncommon as well. So, from what we gather so far, yachts in Tonga and Niue are mostly staying put. They're appearing to be wanting to wait for conditions to improve before they decide to head off. But for Fiji, it seems like, it seems like a mass exodus for a Monday departure. I guess, sort of like the gold rush stampede of the late 1800s. Now, we at Gulf Harbor Radio do not give advice, but we're ready to offer weather conditions as we see them. If any cruising boats desire, give us a call, and emails work too. We do encourage yachts to check in daily with us. Giving us actual conditions really do help to analyze model output and are particularly valuable to me. So don't think you just give them and we write them down and do nothing else with them. But I do check them with the models, and it's quite interesting. So just a few comments on next week's weather for those of you that are part of the Stampede. Keep in mind that the MJO pulse is active in our area, and in our experience, we've been doing this for a lot of years, that helps to seemingly befuddle model forecasting at times. Not always, but sometimes we see the model struggling to be accurate. So keep that in mind. Also, next week, the atmosphere appears to be quite unstable from the standpoint of cloud forecasting. That does show numerous buildups throughout the week, and that's from stratus to cumulus to possible thunderstorm activity. Although so far, I don't see the thunderstorms as an issue other than around the cyclone that we just talked about. They are definitely there for sure, and you could see that on satellite imagery. But things do change, so keep that in mind. In general, though, clouds do offer downflow winds on their perimeter. Not just CBs do this, all clouds do this. These winds can be strong, they could be light, but they are shifty, and well, they'll simply be giving you a good experience in sail trim, let's put it that way. So finally, up to 5 models that I can count are indicating a major change in the weather next weekend. Not this one, of course, next one. And we'll see our high moving away from New Zealand and being replaced by a depression with a cold front affecting the North Island. As this system approaches, winds, as usual, back to a northerly quadrant. That's a nice direction for sure, but this is a prelude to the system's cold front, which often is no fun. So keep this in mind, and as usual, be aware that all of these models may have the wrong idea. So with that, here's the chief.
Well, I wonder what Chameleon would do. We're quite conservative. Well, actually, the crew is always liking a fairly moderate type.
We'd stay at anchor, feet up in the air, getting some sun.
Okay, so it sounds like we would be staying at anchor so that the crew came back next year. All right, let's go way over to Zoomax now before I throw it open to anybody listening. Zoomax, Gulf Harbour. We might have lost Zoomax with different conditions tonight. Is there anybody wanting to do a radio check or ask for any comment on something in particular, or do whatever, please call now. Well, this is very peaceful tonight. It makes me wonder whether we are in fact getting out. It's not as good, I'm just looking at my meters, it's not as good as it was last night. I'll just try again for Zoomax, Gulf Harbour. The other thing, if anybody is listening, we have had reports that a catamaran has lost its mast. Don't know who, but there is one catamaran not all that far from New Zealand which does not have a current AIS position. It's about 6 hours old. So if anybody does know anything about that, please let us know. We've talked to RCC and they have not heard anything. So if you could let us know, that would be useful. I'll just do one final call for anybody with anything. No, all peaceful. Okay, folks, thanks for the emails that have come in today. If you are emailing, would you please put your boat name in the subject line? Boat name, please. I'm getting a little bit confused. There is a lot of emails coming in, and sometimes I get the names confused. So please put your boat name above all else in the subject line. So that would make life easier for me, and then I can quickly respond with any information that might come up that might help you with your considerations or whatever. Okay, we'll be back again tomorrow night. I think I've given all the news that's fit to print. So have a good evening, everybody, and again, welcome back to these lovely waters. Very peaceful in the bay, no swells for Mintaka, and they'll be having a good sleep tonight after their rather torrid passage. Cheers all. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, and we are clear.